Hey, Sens fans, welcome to today's episode of the Senstennial Podcast. I'm here with other Matt. We're going to recap games 3 and 4 of the first round series, the Battle of Ontario between Ottawa and Toronto. Didn't record after game 3 because I was at the game and I just couldn't do it. I was out of sorts and then came back, I was at the CTC again for game 4 and vibes were better leaving the building that night. And yeah, so we'll see how things go going into game 5. But first things first, let's recap the last 2 games. Game 3, first game back in Ottawa. Ottawa fans really kept Toronto fans out of the seats for the most part. The building was heavily in favor when you look at ratio of Sens to Leafs fans. However, the result was a 3-2 overtime loss. So Matt, maybe we'll start there and talk about that. And how did you feel after game 3 when the Leafs were up 3-0?
Honestly, I was gonna come on the podcast and just doom and gloom. I was ready to get swept, and it was gonna suck a lot. Obviously, the big positive was that it looked like it was 90-10 Sens fans, so that's great. It was a loud building, lots of chants, lots of go Sens go. A lot of people said, "Wow, like it was really loud in that overtime win." It's it's always going to be loud when a pin drops because everybody goes silent, and then any sound is going to be loud. So, I mean, the Leafs travel well for everything, but I think Ottawa did a good job, and season ticket holders specifically did a good job in making sure that Sens fans were actually able to go see the team that they cheer for in the playoffs. In the game, I mean, like Stützle had an absolute wicked one timer. Then it just felt like the Sens every time they would get a lead, it wouldn't go their way, and just weird bounces. And that was another time where our power play just was not coming through. And aside from the first game, the Leafs haven't had a lot of power play time, but when they do get on the power play, they make us pay for it. And then we get it to overtime again. And of course, it's a shot from the point, and Omar, has the quote that says, I didn't see it. And he couldn't see it. Obviously a massive bummer because I think the Sens heavily outplayed the Leafs in that game. I thought we should have had a better fate for sure, but of course, hockey isn't the better team wins every night. So it was a bummer to see, but here we are.
Yes, here we are. And definitely after that goal went in, I just sat in my seat for probably at least 10 seconds, just sitting there,
Yeah,
disbelief.
yeah,
Thankfully, there weren't really many Leafs fans near me, so like there were a couple, jumped up and cheered and whatever. I don't expect anything less when your team wins an OT in the playoffs, but I just had to sit there for a few seconds and process it because it truly felt like Ottawa was going to win game 3 with the crowd, all the chants that were going, the Matthews Balding chant, that was
yeah. That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
So I really thought that the crowd would propel the Sens to a victory, but wasn't the case early in overtime. They get, I don't even want to talk about it. But
Yeah,
anyway, we move on to game 4, Saturday night. While the weather was nice and sunny on Thursday and the patio was popping off with Sens fans, Saturday was quite a different vibe. And I think it filled like that feeling that, Sens fans were feeling. It was rainy, it was gloomy. A lot of fans were like, man, we can't get swept by the friggin' Toronto Maple Leafs here.
yeah.
And that was the vibe I got certainly while there. A lot more Leafs fans in game 4. I'd say the split was more like 70-30, maybe 65-35. It was more closer to what you'd see in the regular season, but still more heavily Sens fans, which was great. We got the Matthews Balding chant going again. Perfect. There was a Marner's leaving chant in there at one point, which I
Ooh, that's
heard.
good. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, a couple Leafs fans, well, one in front of me said to a few of the others, he was like, more like Marner's sweeping. And sorry, sir, but that did not happen. I also saw that same fellow bet while sitting in his seat in front of me. He bet on the Leafs to beat the Sens for game four. Tough break for
Oof.
that guy. Yeah. So,
Oof.
no sympathy from me. um, Now that game I was at with one of my buddies, actually the original producer for the show, or sorry, actually not the original producer, I guess the second producer,
Yeah.
Ty. So,
Yeah.
Ty, I was there with him, and we
Was
were
it
hyped up.
Alan?
Yeah, no, although I did touch base with Alan, he hasn't been able to make it to any games yet. But we do love Alan as the original producer of the show, and
He was almost like our fourth, right? He was like our fourth guy.
yeah, he did a couple of bits on the podcast, but he told me he liked kind of just being the background guy. That's a little bit of Alan lore for those of
That's
you
what
who
we
have
call glue. Glue guy.
blue guy in the
Uh
locker room.
yeah, good guy to have in the locker room. I'm pretty positive he loved Travis Hamonic in the first like
No,
season or two that we had him.
he was a big Mark Borvietsky guy. He really liked
Oh
Mark
yeah.
Borvietsky. That was his boy.
Yeah.
Um
Boro was actually at the turn. So for context, Matt and I were talking before, and I played in a tournament called Hockey Helps the Homeless. And Mark Borvietsky was one of the pros playing in the tournament. He was not on my team. I had
Damn
Brad
shame.
May.
Okay.
Yep. And then I played against Sean Donovan, Jesse Winchester, who I now can't stand, brutal guy, uh, and Zenon Konopka. And he lost one faceoff in the game, and he took a lot of them.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to maybe dig into that more
Yeah,
when
we can.
playoffs
That's for
aren't
sure.
aren't happening. But I love this. This is some like Matt E-bug goaltending arc where he'll
No,
eventually end up
there are a lot of
CPC.
better goalies there. I got rinsed.
Uh,
And after that, like 10 minutes left in the third game, one of my defensemen came up to me. He was like, "Are you just not trying anymore?" Because he was like, "Because I'm
ooh.
not. I'm like we're gassed on the bench." Uh oh, like I openly said like I can't because that was the Jesse Winchester game, and it was like every 30 seconds was like a 3-on-2, a two
Oh
on one,
no.
a breakaway. Like there was no time for me to drink water. There's no time to breathe.
Oh my God. Those are the
Yeah,
worst games.
yeah, it was horrible.
That's tough.
But
But yeah.
it was a lot of fun. I got to spend time with a lot of great people. My mom stayed for the day, and then we went and got sushi after. So
Mhm.
that was great.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, that's the game that I watched. That was the Thursday game. So that was after game three or before game three. Um, and then yeah, on Saturday, I mean, you got to go to a win in overtime, which is so sick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I watched at Chuck's Roadhouse.
Oh jeez. Hey,
Yeah.
they with their pro Toronto Maple Leaf propaganda commercials, bro. Come on.
Well, it was not pro Toronto Maple Leafs at this Chuck's.
You love to see it.
Yeah, it was loud in there for sure. Um, and so it just like it felt like after they got the 2-0, I said like, yeah, we'll see, and then they obviously tied it up. And listen, I thought Allmark played a great game. I don't really blame him on anything. Um, I thought a lot of guys showed up and played really well, but that was the worst game the Sens played. From a shot standpoint, from an offensive chances given up standpoint. Like I know we gave up 6 in the first game, but the guys looked tired in game 4, and I'm so happy Omar showed up, played a great game, and then Sanderson sealed it. That I embraced a random man named Mark.
Borvietsky.
Super. It was not Borvietsky. Super nice guy. Um, Made some friends along the way. Yeah, I had low hopes, and I'm glad that we avoided the sweep. Um, and now I think that might give the Sens in the room a little confidence to know, hey, we could actually beat Stellars.
Yeah.
They scored 4 goals on 16 shots. Um, and they weren't incredible shots by any means. So now that should give them the confidence to know, like, hey, we can go out there, score some goals, and maybe get another game, maybe get 2 games, maybe get 3.
All right. Let's hold up a little bit. Let's talk about the win first. Okay, very exciting. Now
Yep.
that one, Ottawa took a 2-0 lead, and they almost closed out the first of that lead. But
Yeah.
late in the period, Toronto gets a deflection goal, and unfortunately, that brings it within one. And I even said to Ty before the period ended, I said, the Sens have to close out this period 2-0. And of course, they don't.
Yeah.
Although, hey, all credit to guys like Shane Pinto. Being able to take that puck to the net and score was absolutely huge. At that point in the game, vibes were really high. But of course, yes, Toronto came back. They tied it. It was getting a little quiet in the building. I think people tried to get the Go Sens Go chants going, trying to get the volume up, the momentum going. Thankfully, whenever Leafs fans tried to start a Go Leafs Go chant, the arena responded and
Yeah.
would do a Go
Yeah.
Sens Go. So there was a lot of like counter chants that actually helped as well. And then, midway through the third, David Perron from Artem Zub gets that puck that he kind of deflects into the side of the net, inside of the side of the net.
Yeah.
And Ottawa takes that 3-2 lead. And I once the time started getting closer and closer to that 5 and then 4 minute mark, I think they tied it around there. Um, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, the Sens need to start generating some pressure themselves because I don't trust a 1 goal lead. And sure enough, Toronto tied it.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of Leafs fans in the row, a couple rows, both the 2 rows in front of me, who started celebrating, hugging each other like they just won the Stanley Cup. And I was like, oh my God, dude, here we go. Some of them even turning around and flashing their sweaters. I'm like, oh boy, they're pumped that they tied this game. Goes to OT. And you know what? Last time we recorded one of these, I think I maybe criticized Ottawa for just really getting back on their heels in overtime. This game was different. They played this overtime differently than they had before, and it was
Yeah.
noticeable. And that was nice to see. And right away, I was like, okay, they're gonna have a better chance this overtime. And I also think they knew like it's do or die. They only had 4 shots in periods 2 and 3 combined, and that's
Yeah.
not enough to win. So,
Yeah.
going into overtime, and maybe we can talk about some of the heroics there, but actually, yeah, maybe we'll go with that. David Perron scores, the Leafs tie it up. How did you feel going into overtime?
Stressed. I actually thought that Zoop pass to Perron was incredible. It's probably one of the best plays Zoop's ever made in his career. Um, Obviously the Leafs tied it up, and that felt like just sucking all of the energy out of the building. Going into overtime, I was definitely nervous. And then in the first 2 minutes, I was like, oh, this is a totally different team than the last time. I'm sure Travis Green basically said, like, listen, you have to play like it's your season is ending tonight. And if you do that, you might extend it. And they just came out swinging. They were hitting things. They were, getting zone possession and just like they were getting good opportunities and stuff. And then the 4 minute penalty kill. Uh, my heart was like in my throat. And I kind of just said to myself, I was like, if they kill this off, they're winning this game. Um, and it just felt like Linus Allmark was unbeatable, and he was. Uh, the the PK was the best I've seen it in a long time. they were limiting chances to the outside of high danger areas, consistently getting it out. It didn't feel like a 4-minute power play because of how much time was actually spent trying to break into the zone. So I have to give massive credit to the Senators PKers. And then once they killed it off, like I was like, well, they're gonna win. The Sens are gonna win now. Like they got it in the bag. And sure shit, they did. They won the game, and off a beautiful play by Jake Sanderson. The entire team just came together, and it felt like a good Ottawa Senators victory. And we haven't had one of those in like a week now. So it's nice.
I thought you were talking about playoff victories. I was like, a little more than a week.
No, I just mean in general. But yeah, it's been 8 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it was very nice to get the win. And as I said, I think the fellas can build some confidence knowing like, oh, well, maybe they are beatable. The Jets had a 2-0 lead on St. Louis, and obviously it's a bit different because Hellebuck looks like playoff Hellebuck, which is insane to me. What he is able to accomplish in the playoffs is crazy. He should not be this bad. I think he's just maybe a playoff choker, which sucks. I think he's a phenomenal goalie. And the Sens were the only team that could have been swept on as of Saturday. So you just really hoped that they weren't the team that it happened to, and luckily they weren't. So it was all vibes after that. I did a tequila shot. Life is good.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people have been talking about the efforts of Tyler Clevin, especially on that overtime goal. I mean, throughout the game, I turned to Ty a couple times. Was like, yo, he's having a great game. Like Tyler Clevin was very noticeable. He was moving the puck well. He was defensively stout. It was everything
hitting
you'd
people.
Want. Yeah, of course.
Whenever Tyler Clevin hits people, it's a good game for him.
Yes, he definitely made his presence known for sure, laying a lot of hits. Yeah, he was like when you have a big physical defenseman like that, sometimes the worry can be, are they going to make hits that put themselves out of position? And thankfully, he has not done that, or at least didn't do that in game 4. He was playing really well. And that whole play that Jake Sanderson's goal happened because of Clevin. Clevin forechecked, which I was surprised because Ottawa
I was like, why is Clevin up there?
Yeah, Ottawa seemed to be playing safe with their defensemen for a lot of the overtime. They had a couple guys back because, as we know, Toronto in the game 4, game 3, they had taken advantage of Ottawa's defense, getting kind of caught, and then the Leafs offense would end up getting a breakaway or whatnot. So you could tell that they were doing that. So when Tyler Clevin pinched and then forechecked and, got it so that Riley passed the puck or tried to sling the puck out. And of course, Jake Sanderson, great skating to get over there and be able to hold it in and just kind of throw the puck at the net. And it took me like probably half a second or full second. I don't know. Felt like a while though to realize the puck had gone in the net, and I was like freaking out, jumping, Sens fans around me were all high-fiving and all that good stuff. Leafs fans just kind of looked like that blank stare of like, ugh.
They looked like us the last 3 games. Yeah, get it.
But it was like that stare that they're like, we've seen this story before. And so we'll see what happens. Obviously, it would be great. Brady Tkachuk came out after the game pointing at the ice saying like, we'll be back here. We'll be back here. And I truly hope that happens.
Yeah.
I went to 2 games, and after them, I was just exhausted. I was so stressed. I was like, man, this has been a ride. But if, the Sens happen to play a game 6 later this week, I will be there.
As you should.
Yeah. The perks of reserving my seats for before the Sens matched up with the Leafs in the playoffs is that I didn't pay an arm and a leg to reserve my tickets for all home games. yeah, on the other side of things, the stress that you go through for two overtime. I looked at my buddy. I was like, I can't do this again. I can't do
Yeah,
this
I
again.
know.
And my
Yeah.
wife's texting me from home, and she's like, "It's okay, Matt. Like they're gonna do this." And she's a huge Habs fan, and she was on our side, uh, trying to send all the hateful energy at the Leafs our way. So
Yeah.
respect. And yeah, so came in through with a win. But I'm rambling. What did you think of the win, and what do you think the Sens need to do or keep doing when it comes to Game 5 if they want to bring this back to Ottawa?
I think they need to play a more intense game. They need to get obviously just some solid goaltending from Linus Allmark. They need to find ways to get into Anthony Stolar's vision so he can't make the saves that he has been making. We need to see some guys, some of our big guys actually stepping up a little more. I've loved David Perron's game. I've liked Fabian Zetterlund's as well, and I think that's a guy that just feels like he's on the cusp of breaking out. And you just need Jake Sanderson to be Jake Sanderson. You need your best guys to be your best guys. Also, shout outs to Shane Pinto. He's been matching up against Matthews all series, and that's hard as hell. And I heard a lot of Leafs fans saying like Matthews looks invisible. If that has anything to do with Shane Pinto, like Pinto's doing exactly what you want him to do. Um, so you just come out with intensity, keep hitting them, keep getting in the eyes of Stellars, keep getting solid saves, and maybe we come back. Maybe we come back to Ottawa for Game 6, but I think you just got to take it one game at a time. Backs are still against the wall, and you just got to play with that same intensity and aggression that they played with the past few games. I think they kind of sat back in Game 4 in periods 2 and 3. Um, but overtime was a different story. So you need to play like you did in overtime to win games. So a win's a win, and now we focus on Game 5 tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think the Sens are well aware that this is obviously a must win game. Your season's on the
Yep.
line.
Yep.
They're going to bring everything. Brady Kachuk has become more of a factor this series. It seemed like games 1 and 2. I know he scored in game 2, but it looks like he was kind of breaking into things, settling in, and
Mm-hmm.
then once he settled in, you could tell like you know
All right, let
he
him cook.
yeah, exactly. He was going. He was
Yeah.
flying out there and laying hits, being more of a presence, which is
Yeah.
really what you need from Brady Kachuk because
Yeah.
when he's out there throwing hits, getting involved, causing chaos in front of the net, the opposing team's net, that is. That's what you want with Brady Kachuk, and that's when he's at his best.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Sens need to get in on Stolarz, get up in his face. Um, like you said, they've now scored 4 goals on him in a game, which every game before that they scored a max of 2. So make Stolarz doubt himself. Make the
Yeah.
Leafs like at the end of Game 5, if the Sens can score enough goals to make Stolarz doubt himself and make the Leafs doubt Stolarz, then you potentially come back home and there's some more doubt creeping in of like, okay, we're getting down to the wire here. We need to close this out. More pressure on them, and I think it just works in Ottawa's favor. Now, if the reverse happens and Ottawa, their season ends in Toronto, hey, it's been a hell of a ride, and we'll see what happens. I don't want to get onto the downer wagon. I know
Yep.
some people are already talking about lineups for next year, and I'm like, screw that. I can't think about next year. We still have this year on the line. So
Yep.
that's my ramble. That's what I'm thinking. And yeah, any other thoughts before you want to call it a night here on the Senstennial?
Honestly, I just think you take it game by game, one game at a time, and now your back's against the wall. All you have to do is win and play your heart out because you've now avoided the embarrassment of a sweep, and now you can focus on, maybe making this series even more respectable. So just go out there and play Ottawa Senators hockey and see how it goes.
Love it. And hopefully Allmark can keep being game 4 Allmark, because that was great. And let's get this. Let's get
Yeah.
this win. Let's
Yeah.
send it back to Ottawa. That's all I ask. I want to be
Yeah.
there for game 6. I want to cheer on the boys, and anything could happen.
Anything can happen.
So on that note, thank you for watching or listening to today's episode. By the time we upload this, it will be game day. So hunker down, get ready. Hopefully this can serve as some pre-game content for you. And yeah, feel free to follow us on social media. We're on X or Twitter at Senstennial. We're on Blue Sky at Senstennial, Reddit at the Senstennial. Same with Instagram. We're on all of those bad boys. So
Yep.
feel free to follow us on whichever one you prefer. And we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully after a game 5 win, but we'll take things one day at a time. Go Sens go.
Go Sens go, everybody.